Hey, Sarah, good to see you.
Nice to see you too, Micah.
And no big surprise, it being the two of us and you as the vice president at the Public Policy Institute of California, we're going to dive pretty deeply into some data, into some policy wonkery. Why did you get into this line of work? Why do you kind of care about data and research, and in particular, all of your work on poverty and inequality and social programs?
To be honest, my kind of passion started with just a real strong draw towards data and research. I was really like a math nerd growing up. But I also just had a deep concern about social and economic problems. And realized with the help of many mentors and teachers along the way that those two things could be paired together to try to make change.
We produce this amazing data, these amazing reports, all this analysis. How do we use that insight, right? That analysis to drive better public policy outcomes and different outcomes for people that desperately need it in California?
I really believe that telling the story of Californians or people through data and evidence can impact policy choices. Just setting, a basic understanding, a shared understanding of the realities that families face. The data and research can only go so far because the voice of the Californians is, of any group is critical to moving the needle on policy. But I think we need to start from that kind of shared understanding.
When you think about the economic, social issues that face the state, what do you dig into the most in terms of your research?
On the immediate agenda, no surprise, is understanding how we're doing on recovery from the worst, fastest job loss on record, and also thinking about how the pandemic might be reshaping economic opportunities. In many sectors, I think we accommodated the switch to remote work much better than we expected. So what does that mean for the future of jobs? On the flip side, of course, there was, a big sector of the economy that couldn't switch to remote work, face-to-face service sectors that employ a higher share of low-wage workers, workers of color, younger workers. How are those Californians faring on the road to recovery? But these are concerns that I think get to the structure of our economy and our society that we need to really unpack and understand what can move the needle.
The California poverty measure shows us that there are so many people who are struggling here, many more than in most other states.
A large part of it is this kind of share of low wage work that our economy has generated, this really kind of divide between lower wage and higher compensated work. Our California poverty measure also incorporates the cost of housing, which we all know is such a huge factor in just economic well-being in California and beyond economic well-being, health and, other consequences. Technological change over the decades has really generated great opportunities for Californians with more education, has been actually a draw of many to California for those kind of high-paying, higher educated kind of jobs. But what does that mean for kind of the gulf in between, where kind of the pathways to go from entry-level jobs up to those higher paying jobs is just really kind of disappearing?
But what I'm hearing from you is maybe we need a little bit more modesty and humility in our policy approaches.
We all bring our perspectives to data analysis, even if we want it to be completely unbiased. So we have to be upfront about that and transparent, because there are actually multiple ways to see data and evidence, to interpret it, and to make policy choices. We have to, as a research profession, make sure that we are bringing diverse voices into the profession from, frankly, backgrounds that haven't historically been prevalent in the research community.